As we start to move out of northern Italy and into northern Europe in the 17th century, we see slightly different attitudes and pressures than we have seen in Italy, just like in previous centuries. One of the artists that really exemplifies this transition between Italy and northern Europe is Peter Paul Rubens. He exemplifies this idea that artists in the 17th century need to be educated. They need to be the equivalent of the wealthy aristocrats who are now their primary patrons in the aftermath of the Protestant Reformation and the Catholic Counter-Reformation, and they need to be able to fit in those kinds of social circles. Rubens does this. He's well educated. We can see in this self-portrait that he's dressed well. His clothing would be considered fashionable for the time, although maybe a little somber for our modern tastes. And he's not only an artist, he's a collector. He has an extensive collection not only of art objects, but of what at the time are called curiosities, the kinds of things we might see in a natural history museum today, specimens and objects from all over the world. One of his most famous works of art is a series of paintings he does for the French queen, Marie de Medici, after the death of her husband, when she rules as Queen Regent of France. And there's some question about whether she should be allowed to be Queen Regent. After all, you might have guessed by her name, Medici, she's not French, she's Italian. And she is a woman in a time period when that is a distinct disadvantage. So Marie invites Rubens to her court, this artist that has connections to other courts and other high-ranking individuals all around Europe, and he paints a series of paintings that reinforce her divine right to rule. This is one of those paintings, and we see in this painting the moment that Marie de Medici is stepping off the boat in the French city of Marseille from her boat journey from Italy. And everything about this is designed to really enhance her status and enhance her prestige. So we see the figure of Marie in the center, this figure right here, and in front of her, bowing down, is an allegorical personification of the nation of France. We know he's an allegory for a couple of reasons. One is we can't see his face. He's not identifiable as an individual, unlike nearly everybody else in this painting. Two, if we look at how he's dressed, he's wearing a blue cloak with a gold fleur-de-lis, which even at this time was already a symbol of the monarchy. Above her head, we see this figure that looks a little bit like an angel, but here again we have another allegory, another personification, and this is Fame. And Fame is really easily recognizable because Fame plays these double trumpets to announce the arrival of the famous person. At the base of this painting, down below, we see the god of the sea, Poseidon, and these Nereids, or sea nymphs, who have theoretically carried Marie's boat gently across the ocean safely from France to Italy. Looking at these naked female forms, we also see the origin of the term Rubenesque, which even today we use to mean somebody who's a little chubby or a little bit overweight. And this heavier physique in women was fashionable at the time and reflected more accurately the bodies of the upper classes, who often had the leisure and the money to indulge in rich food and little exercise. However, even when we look at the real people in this image, we see that this is all about honor and prestige. If we look up to the captain of the boat, this figure in black on the left-hand side, he is wearing a tabard, or this garment, over his chest, which shows he's a member of the Order of the Knights of Malta. So this would be a hereditary, or an honorary, chivalric order that shows he is well-respected, well-honored, important. Above his head, we see the family coat of arms of the Medici family, so reminding the viewers who Marie de Medici is and exactly who she's connected to. And behind Marie herself, we see this robust entourage that royalty or nobility would be expected to have. And here we see some of the elegance, the grace, the classical allusions in the figure of fame and this allegorical personification of France that we'd expect to see in Italy. But we do have some of those more mundane, everyday details that we would expect to see more prominently in Northern Europe as well.